Welcome to the Undisputed podcast. I'm your host, Jenny Taft. This podcast is the full show from today's episode of Undisputed from start to finish. They've got a busy slate, so Skip, Shannon, let's get to it.
Good morning. Welcome to Undisputed. I'm Jenny Taft with Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharpe. How are we doing today, guys?
Jenny, I'm doing good. We got a topic off the top of this thing. Ooh, I've been waiting 2 days, 3 days for this topic, and they finally got it. It's in my wheelhouse, Jenny. It's in my wheelhouse.
You know, Jenny, it's funny. Every morning I start this show by saying to Shannon Sharpe, may I have this dance? And then I last dance on the grave that now holds his LeBron is the GOAT argument. R.I.P.
This is last dance.
LeBron.
This is the last dance part 2. Because after this, it's over. It'll be no more.
The Last Dance Part 2. All right, here's the thing. Shannon, you had to defend your guy a lot yesterday. I'm going to give you a few more ways to do that today. I'd like to continue talking MJ versus LeBron in terms of leadership, because according to Lakers guard Quinn Cook, LeBron's leadership style is very different than what we've seen from Michael Jordan's in The Last Dance. Cook said that LeBron is the, quote, class clown on the team and likes to keep things light. He also said LeBron would still be the first one to get on teammates after losses and stay locked in. So, Shannon, in your opinion, who is the better leader, Michael Jordan or LeBron?
You know, Jenny, this is something that's very hard to quantify, because normally what people say is that anytime you win, you're the best. Whoever the top dog is, they're the better leader than the top dog of the team that lost. But Michael Jordan said something very interesting at the end of segment 7. He says, if you have a problem with my leadership style, it's probably because you never won anything. But I have something here, Skip, you can't see it. It's about 22 inches tall, and it weighs about 7 pounds. And they normally hand these out to the winning team at the end of the season. Only the last team standing. Now, I have 3 of those. I also have something else. You can't see that, but the people at home, they can see it. So, in other words, I feel like I'm very qualified to chime in on this because I have won something. And so, for me, LeBron James' style would work better for me than Michael Jordan's style, because I am an alpha male. And Michael's style, Michael being an alpha, I'm being an alpha, we're going to butt heads. Now, Charles Barkley said something interesting, I think it was a day ago or 2 days ago on the Dan Patrick. He said Mike knew what he was doing, picking on Scotty Burrell and the smallest guy on the roster, Steve Kerr. Now, everybody gonna say that's why Charles never won anything. But they never said a word when Charles said Michael Jordan is the greatest of all time. They didn't say, well, Charles didn't win anything. How does he know what he's talking about? You chimed in, oh, yeah, look at Charles. And we all know Charles was a great player. Udonis Haslem also said, you know, Mike the greatest, but he called me a B or the H. Me and him gonna have to square up. And that's what most alpha males are going to do. Skip, LeBron's style would work best for me. And another thing, Skip, we gotta be careful. And I want people at home, I want you to understand, you gotta be careful. Because someone is in a position of authority, because someone is better at something than you, they have earned the right to talk to you less than. This is the way I operate, Skip. I call it like I see it. Fair is fair, wrong is wrong. When I was at Savannah State, Skip, I was the captain for 3 years. And anytime there was something that went on with the team, Coach Davis, who's the head coach, Brick McNeil, the offensive coordinator, and Joe Crosby, they didn't go to the coach's office. Guess where they came to discuss it? They came to Shannon Sharpe's room. You know why? Because everybody knew they was going to get a fair chance. Everybody knew I was going to call it right down the middle. I'm the best player, but I'm going to treat you the same, whether you're the second or third best player or you're the 28th, 29th best player. Fair is fair, right is right, wrong is wrong. And that's the way I was, Skip. Michael Jordan did this to people, Skip, like I said. For me, where was Michael Jordan the first 20 years of my life when I was having to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning, when I was having to feed chickens, slop hogs, when I was going out into the woods with no running water, no indoor plumbing? Where was Michael Jordan to motivate me then? He was nowhere around. When my grandmother was sending me $5 a month at Savannah State, where was Michael Jordan to motivate me then? Now I'll make it to the ultimate. I get to the dance. And now you're going to tell me how I need to dance and what songs I need to dance to. Nah, bruh. I'm going to do my part. You do your part. But when you start disrespecting me, Skip, like I said, I love Michael. The fighting is not about because I dislike him. Fighting is because to gain my respect. So for me, LeBron James' style would have worked best for me because I'm an alpha and me and Mike's going to butt heads. Because if you think you can call me out of my name, that's not going to happen. I won't let you say anything to me Mary Porter didn't say to me. And she never called me those names. So Michael and I would have had a problem.
Shannon.
Just in case people at home, y'all forgot. That Lombardi. That old Lombardi. That's all it is. Skip old Lombardi.
I love you, man. But this documentary, The Last Dance, is not about Shannon Sharpe. You were not on the 1998 Bulls. You keep trying to make this whole story about Shannon Sharpe. And it's about the greatest player who ever played any team sport, Michael Jeffrey Jordan. It's about what he did with his team in his town in his day and era that he owned. And again, you try to project yourself onto his team. You weren't on his team. It just doesn't matter. I get you and I get him. I know you both. And I'll give you this. You two would have butted heads. You would have clashed. Although it's highly possible he wouldn't have picked on you because you did not need picking on. You were self-motivated. You showed up every day to give it win at all costs effort and attitude that he preached and drove into the 98 Bulls. You already had it in you. You were born with it. You're still self-motivated in your workouts. So again, you might have blended in. Maybe there had been some point where he thought you could have given a little more, but he treated each player very, very differently. And to answer Jenny's first question, because I don't want to stray too far from the topic here, I do give LeBron some credit for his leadership capabilities, and I'll mention those in just a moment. But I'm sorry, when you force me to put LeBron as a leader in the same sentence with Michael Jordan as a leader, it's blasphemy. It's heresy. It's wrong. It's not fair. Michael Jordan was far, far beyond LeBron as a leader because, to me, Michael Jordan was the greatest leader / motivator we've ever seen in sports. And we're going to talk later in this show about a guy you played with, Ray Lewis, one of the great leaders ever. Shannon Sharpe was one of the great leaders ever. Tom Brady, one of the great leaders ever. But I can't put any of you three in the same pantheon with Michael Jordan because he was a force of nature as a leader. He was more of the coach of that team than Phil Jackson was the coach because Michael was the one who pushed all the buttons. And I want to drive this point home. Remember LeBron's infamous quote back in February of 2016? That night they had lost at New Orleans. He was still with the Cavaliers, obviously. And he complained to the media after the game, we, the Cavaliers, we're top heavy as bleep. You said that, LeBron? You just trashed the 9 guys below Kyrie and Kevin Love and you at the top. It's the big 3 and then you're top heavy as bleep? Well, trust me on this. The 98 Bulls were top heavy as bleep. Scottie Pippen was not an alpha. He was a follower, not a leader. Michael Jordan taught Scottie Pippen how to win, just the way I believe that Dwayne Wade helped teach LeBron how to win his first year in Miami. And then we look at Dennis Rodman. He was a psycho. He was a nutcase. Michael had to ride herd on Dennis Rodman constantly to keep him between the lines. And Dennis was afraid of Michael Jordan, and he did ultimately what Michael said to do, and that's how they won championships together. And Tony Kukoc was a softer Euro kind of a player and a sixth man. He's talented, but he needed Michael to show him the ropes, to drive home to him that you've got to be tougher. Michael toughened up Tony Kukoc in practice. And dare I start down the rest of the roster? We've been talking about Scotty Burrell and Stevie Kerr and Bill Winnington and Luke Longley and Joe Klein and Randy Brown and Judd Buechler. I just named the rest of the roster. Shannon, they're just guys. It's a whole bunch of guys. Michael took that roster and said, bam, I'm going to show you blah, 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 blah. I can't say the words. How to do this. We're going to win at any cost. And if I have to ridicule you, if I have to shame you, if I have to make it hell for you, I will do it. I will pick on your weakness and I will make it a strength. And you will contribute for me when it is time to contribute. And they all did. Everybody I just named all had little big contributions to the Last Dance Bulls' last championship. It was superb leadership, but it was merciless. It could be ruthless, maybe even heartless. But we heard Scotty Burrell. We read in the interview with USA Today the other day saying, I needed it. It was great for me because I knew deep down Michael liked me. He did. He liked Scotty Burrell. He liked all of them. And they knew it. Not one of them has said, I hate Michael Jordan. They've all participated in the documentary that Michael has last say over because they still hold him in awe. Do they love him? Well, I don't know if they love him. They're just in awe of him. But they definitely don't hate him because they know that he did right by them. He did the right thing for them. Steve Kerr said, I stood up to him and I won him over. And Michael said in the documentary, he won my respect. And then Steve Kerr made big shots for Michael Jordan. Now we get to LeBron. And Shannon, I'm going to give you this on LeBron. His strength is he's a great passer. He's still the best passer in basketball. So that's a good leadership skill because just the mere fact that he can pass the basketball to his teammates makes them all feel like they're more involved. They feel special because, my goodness, LeBron just passed me the basketball because he thinks I'm open. I'll give you that one. And I'll give you this one. As silly as it might seem, LeBron has gone out of his way to create and to practice, I guess, his pregame handshake rituals with each player, all the way down to Quinn Cook. They all have a handshake ritual that they do before tip-off and when they do something great during the game. And I love to watch it because LeBron wants to be loved. He's going to go out of his way to spend a lot of time creating those handshake rituals, practicing them because they're not easy to do until they know them because he wants everybody to love him. Michael didn't care if anybody loved him. Michael motivated more out of fear. But here's the bottom line. LeBron also wants to be friends with everybody he plays. He wants to fraternize. He wants to be business partners with Draymond, who called him the B word during Game 4 of the NBA Finals. The one word you can't say. He crossed the line, and the next thing I know,
how about skip timeout? Oh, that's the word you can't say, but Michael Jordan can say it to Scotty Burrell. See, that's the problem that Skip. We got to be careful again. See, just because you're the greatest player and you win a lot doesn't make you the greatest leader. See, you've conflated the two. If that's the case, Bill Russell is the greatest leader because he won 11 championships. So he has to be in 12 years? So he has to be the greatest leader. You want to conflate Michael Jordan is the greatest player. They won 6. He's the greatest leader of all time. Well, if that's the case, it should be Bill Russell. Skip, there is no difference because someone is great. And I'm not trying, and I've never said, when we originally started talking about this, it was about Horace Grant being denied to eat a meal. I said it couldn't be me. I've never tried to make it about me. I've never told anyone I'm as great. I'm not even close to. No, Skip. Michael Jordan said, if you have a problem with the way I'm motivated, you've never won anything. I've got a problem. I got 3 Lombards to show I've won something. Where can you go? Is there a flea market? Is there a yard sale I can go get 3 of these from? So clearly I've won something. All I'm saying is, Skip, I'm not trying to say I'm great as Michael Jordan. I'm saying his style of leadership wouldn't have worked for me, and it wouldn't have worked for some. You try to say, well, LeBron is a lover, not a fighter. LeBron didn't want to be, Michael didn't care about being loved, but he wanted to be respected. That's why he did what he did. Skip, bullying is about taking a position of strength, be it title, be it you're bigger than I am, and you try to take whatever you use that on someone of weaker, be it size, be it stature. If you think Michael Jordan was not Michael Jordan, he would have done that because, like Charles said, he had selective prosecution, Scotty Burrell. So basically by what you're doing, Skip, by picking on Steve Kerr, by picking on Scotty Burrell and some of the others, well, you're not me, you're not Dennis Rodman, and you're not Scottie Pippen. So in other words, without saying it, he's saying it. That's all I'm saying, Skip. You're trying what you're trying. No. This was never, all I'm doing was I was asked a question about certain situation. And I'm telling you, and I say, well, what's the difference between Draymond? Well, it's Draymond and Michael Jordan. People, be careful. When you allow someone that's in a position of strength, or you feel they have more than you, and you allow them to talk, you're subjecting yourself. You're opening yourself up to things that you shouldn't do, you shouldn't have to take. Because it's funny that I listen to people and I see people in all these times, well, you allowed Michael to talk to another man in a way you would never allow a man to talk to you. So I'm trying to figure out if it's acceptable for Michael to talk to someone, it should be acceptable for you to get talk like that. And then hell no, I'm not gonna let him talk to me like that. Of course not. All I'm saying, Skip, right is right, wrong is wrong. That's it. Don't say, well, you're trying to compare yourself to Michael, because I've never tried to compare myself to Michael. But I feel I can chime in because Michael say people that have a problem haven't won anything. Well, I got 22 inches and 7 pounds that says I won something.
Okay, back to Draymond. Draymond got sick and tired of LeBron belly aching during Game 4 of the 2016 Finals, and he finally said, "You're a B." He screamed it so loud that Kiki Vandeweghe, who presided over NBA suspensions, heard it in the third row, and he finally said, "Okay, that's enough of that." And Draymond got suspended, as we all know, for Game 5 back in Oakland. And yet, did Draymond call LeBron the B word to motivate him? No. He called him the B word because that's what he thought he was. That's what he was acting like. And the next thing I know, LeBron has hired Draymond and brought him into the business. They're business partners the next offseason. What? You're kidding. The bridge should be burned. He crossed the line.
Michael Jordan called Scotty Burrell a B.Y., Skip, because he thought he was soft. That's the same definition. They're not different definitions according to who. Skip.
No.
Draymond called Skip. Listen, no. Skip. He called him that because he thought it was soft. If somebody calls you that, it doesn't matter the context. It doesn't matter the setting. Do you understand what that meaning is? He thought LeBron was soft. Michael Jordan thought Scotty Burrell was soft. There's no different meaning because one player is great.
Two of these guys, Jordan and Burrell, are teammates. And Michael decided, I have to toughen him up because I'm going to need him. And Scott Burrell said it did not offend him that he was calling him that word and the garden tool word in practice because it was a daily occurrence. Michael didn't call the other players those names. He called Scotty Burrell. And I told you, what was the result? Game 3, it was a crucial game at New Jersey, packed house, roof coming off the building, Brendan Byrne Arena. I was there in the front row, and Scotty Burrell comes off the bench and plays 24 minutes in that game and scored 23 points. Michael pushed the right button, and today, Scotty says, I wouldn't have my job as the head coach of Southern Connecticut State University if not for Michael Jordan. He pushed me. He made me who I am.
First of all, Skip, he's talking like he got the head job at Duke or North Carolina or Kansas. So stop. Stop.
He has a job.
So I want you to stop. Exactly. So, but stop pretending like, oh, I got this prestigious job at this prestigious university. Hold on. You keep saying that Draymond and LeBron became friends. Scotty Burrell got barraged by this word on a daily basis, and he's on the man's documentary, kiki-kikiing, smiling and laughing. Where's that funny? A man calling you that word. So, Skip, hold on. So one guy was saying it to motivate him, so it's okay. Yeah, you a B. And the other guy said it out of anger and frustration, but that's a no-no. Both are a bridge too far for me. And see, for you, you need to understand that.
Okay. And now let's look at LeBron. Michael Jordan lived for confrontation. He would get right in your face and challenge your weakness and try to make it your strength. LeBron James is a passive-aggressive leader. He doesn't want to confront anybody. Remember the infamous confrontation, quote-unquote, with Kevin Love that first year back in Cleveland when Kevin was talking about, I didn't know I was trying to fit in, and my teammates told me, try to fit out. Don't try so hard. Just be yourself. And then LeBron tweets about, you got to try to figure out how to fit in, not fit out. It was like a tweet. Why don't you go talk to the man's face? Because you're not confrontational. You're not a natural-born leader. And what did David Blatt say, the guy who was the head coach at that time? David Blatt said that Michael Jordan was more focused on the us, while LeBron, whom he coached, was more focused on the I. That's the difference right there. LeBron, why did Kyrie leave? He said LeBron was more focused on stats than on team success. Oh, I'm sorry, Shannon. This guy was in a league of his own as a leader.
You see what you do? Anytime someone says something negative about LeBron and they said it in The Last Dance, you say nothing. It's not about them. It's about Michael. But the moment I say something, Shannon, you're trying to make it about you. It's not about David Blatt. David Blatt is not Phil Jackson. He's not Pat Riley. He's not Coach Auerbach. He's not Pop. So I disregard anything that he says because that's what you do.
He's internationally famous.
Skip, stop it. You and I both know if it's a soccer coach and he's international, okay. But when it comes to hoops, it's right here in America. Stop that. It's just like baseball. The guy that had more home runs, I think his last name was he had 800 home runs. Nobody mentioned him when it comes to home runs. It's Hank Aaron. It's Babe Ruth. It's Barry Bonds. So stop that, Skip. You know better than that. But my problem here is where I'm pushing back on you is that anytime somebody says something negative about LeBron, it's the gospel. But the minute somebody pushes back against something about Michael Jordan, you making it about you. It's not about you. Why is that? LeBron is open to criticism. But if somebody criticizes Michael Jordan, you never won. You don't know what it's like to be a winner. You're not a leader. Man, miss me with that.
Well, miss me with what LeBron did that last game of that finals at Oakland that year when Game 1, he had them dead to rights. He had the hottest hand outside the paint I've ever seen. You know, I know, and he knows he should have pulled up on Steph Curry and taken the Michael Jordan Memorial last shot of that game to win it. They're down 1. It had been sink or swim, do or die, and he passed to George Hill. Then JR lost context, lost his mind. And what did LeBron do? He went over and sat 8 feet away from his teammates, pouting, saying, I don't want to associate with them. You can't call that leadership. Jordan would have never done anything like that. They had an overtime in Game 1 at Oakland, and he quit on them. He pouted and quit and wouldn't shoot the first 2.5 minutes of overtime.
Michael Jordan passed the ball to Steve Kerr. Steve Kerr makes the shot. That was a great pass by Michael. He passed the ball to Paxson in Game 5. He makes shots. They win. And everybody's talking about LeBron passed the ball to George Hill. He gets 5 missed the free throw. LeBron passes the ball to Kyle Korver. He misses. Why would he? Hold on. Skip. Michael, you make it seem like every shot Michael took. You remember the double nickel game? He passed the ball to Bill Weddington. Right, Skip? Isn't that what he did? So stop this notion about Michael Jordan.
Wide open dunk.
So what about a layup? He had a wide open layup and Klay Thompson grabbed him and almost and snatched him down. So stop that, Skip. Stop. Look, nobody's trying to diminish Michael Jordan, but you think everything Michael Jordan did was great. No, it wasn't. No mercy.
Cowboys legend Emmitt Smith is the latest to weigh in with Dak Prescott's contract negotiations. Emmitt said there is no doubt Dak can carry the Cowboys to a Super Bowl and that the team can't be playing chicken with Prescott when it comes to contract talk. So, Shannon, what does Emmitt mean by saying all of this?
Well, Skip, Emmitt is probably one of the foremost authorities to talk about this because he was in a long, protracted contract dispute with Jerry Jones. And you remember, Skip, he ended up missing the first 2 games of the season. They go 0-2 and somehow they get the deal done. Not only does he wins the MVP, and I think, Skip, that year he also won Super Bowl MVP. So Emmett is very qualified to talk about this. I think the thing is what he's saying, Skip, look, the longer this thing drags out, and you know this, and we've talked about this, Skip, since we found out that Dak was going to get franchise tag, and you thought he was going to get signed because everybody, well, he's going to get it done before the season. He's going to get it done during the season. He's going to get it done immediately after the season. And here we are, and I always thought it was going to be the franchise tag. But the franchise tag creates bad blood because basically what you're telling the player, now Dak in this situation has no issues off the field. He has no red flag. So that one's off the table. So basically what Dak is deducing from what you're doing to him is saying, you need to see more. You don't believe that you're as good as the money that you're asking for. Now, I've heard Jerry Jones and Stephen Jones and even Skip Bayless. Skip Bayless has come on this show every day for 4 years. Dak Prescott is going to win multiple Super Bowls. Jerry and Stephen Jones, he's a franchise guy and can win multiple Super Bowls. Time to get paid. Well, I don't know. He did lose this game against the Saints. He did lose this game against Philly. He didn't play particularly well. I don't like what happened in New England. It's the same thing. I went through it. In the paper, everybody, coaches have said, Shannon Sharpe, he's turned himself into a hell of a blocker. I love the way he plays. He plays all the time. Behind closed doors, it's time to get that contract. Well, you know, Shannon, the blocking is not where it needs to be. You're not the complete tight end and such and such. But that's not what you just said. No, I got the papers to prove it. And so what Jerry is doing, Skip, Jerry cannot compete. He can't catch the football. He can't throw a pass. So he looks at contract negotiation as his football. He's playing against said player. And if he wins that, well, I won. Because Dak is looking at it, well, I saw you give Lyle Collins. I saw you give all these linemen. I saw you play Zeke. I saw you play DeMarcus Lawrence. I saw you play Jalen Smith. Now it comes to me. You want to draw a line in the sand and use analytics to why I shouldn't get paid. You're creating a situation, Skip, that you don't need to create. And you're making bad blood with the position that you don't really need to have bad blood with. So Emmett said, this is not the time to be playing chicken, Jerry. Get the deal done and move on. Dak is going to be what you believe he was going to be when you've been hyping him for the last 4 years. He's going to be that. Now pay the man and keep it moving.
You just said so many wrong things, I don't know where to start. But I'll go to Jerry Jones.
Start wherever you like.
I remind you, no owner currently in the National Football League played football, am I forgetting anybody? Played football at a higher level than Gerald Wayne Jones Jr., who was a starting guard for a national championship team at Arkansas, along with his teammate Jimmy Johnson. So my point is, I don't see what you're talking about. Jerry is the other way from what you describe him. He's not trying to lord it over football players because he's a frustrated pro football player. Baloney. Yes, he tends to overpay everybody. They're all his sons. He wants to buddy up and rub elbows. He feels like he's one of them. He feels like he belongs in the locker room with them, so he overpays everybody. And I believe he was ready to overpay Dak. You can make a case that the offer that's on the table right now would be more than Dak is worth. But now let's go to Emmitt Smith. You say, Emmitt's right. Just pay the man. Here we go again with yet another ex-player who has no earthly idea what he's talking about. Yesterday, it was the former Eagle, Donovan McNabb. Today, it's one of the most beloved Dallas Cowboys, an ambassador for the Cowboys, Emmitt Smith. And yet you say, Emmitt knows what he's talking about because he went through this. No, he didn't go through the same thing. Wrong again. Let's go back to 92, 93. I was there, just like I was there to cover The Last Dance in 98. I was right in the middle of that contractual squabble and holdout and dispute. Emmitt Smith was coming off back-to-back rushing titles. Emmitt Smith's team had just won the Super Bowl. And in that Super Bowl, Emmitt had been really good because he carried it 22 times against Buffalo for 108 yards, and he caught 6 more passes in that game. And yet, right on schedule, Thurman Thomas, who had lost that game badly to the Dallas Cowboys, who got completely shut down in that game, had 11 carries for 19 yards, in part because Dallas just blew him out and got ahead so quickly. But Thurman Thomas had just gotten a new deal that paid him $13.5 million over 4 years. It sounds like low money, but in those days, 92, going in 93, it was a lot of money. Okay, so Emmett wanted like $1 more than Thurman Thomas because he's saying, I just won back-to-back rushing titles and beat him in the Super Bowl and badly outplayed him. So he was in the third year of his rookie contract. He had one more year to go before he would hit the free agency market. Everything was different then. And yet he just said, I think I deserve more money now, but he still had a year to go on his contract. And to Jerry's credit, he did dig in, but then after they lost the first two games, they lost at Washington, they lost to Buffalo at home, 13-10, and Charles Haley took his helmet and literally made a hole in the locker room wall with it. Jerry said, okay, I give up. I'll pay him $1 more. And he paid him $13.6 million to Thurman Thomas's 13.5 over 4 years. So he gave him $100,000 more, and Emmett was happy. I still didn't think Emmett got quite enough there, that he deserved more, because he goes on from that point, the rest of that year after missing 2 games, he was the MVP of the regular season and, as you point out, the Super Bowl. And he went on to make 5 more Pro Bowls and become the all-time leading rusher in the history of football. So it was worth the price of admission at that point. Now we get back to Dak. Emmett's point of view is so simplistic and unrealistic. He's like, you guys don't play chicken anymore. Just get this thing done. They've been trying to get it done for a year and 3 months. They've been playing chicken for a year and 3 months. You can't say, you guys, quit digging in against each other. Quit calling each other's bluff. Emmett, are you watching what's happening? They've entered the danger zone. It is do not invite them. I've told you again and again, my sources tell me that Dak and his new agent, Todd France, are asking for outrageous out-of-bounds money for a quarterback who is 1-2 in the postseason, 1 home victory in a playoff game, and who last year didn't have his best year. They put up some big numbers. I give you, some were in garbage time, some were empty calories. But in the biggest games, down the stretch at New England, at Philadelphia, Dak didn't play his best. And they went 8-8, and he did not make the Pro Bowl. And now you're talking about the kind of money up into the 40s per year, 40+ million per year for a shorter time, 4 years, with up to $150 million guaranteed. It's the kind of contract that Mahomes will ask for. And if they give Dak that, it's foolish. It's stupid money, because Dak isn't worth that much. We keep going back and forth. I told you I rank Dak right now on the edge of the top. I got him 10th among quarterbacks. He's not a top 5 quarterback to me. Patrick Mahomes won the Super Bowl. I'll give him number 1 right now over Lamar. Oh, I should say over Tom Brady and then Lamar. We'll talk about this in a little bit. But the point is,
you had it right.
That, hey, no, I didn't have it right. But the point is that Dak, the offer right now on the table of 35, I think it's 36 million a year with 110 guaranteed is tremendous money. He should take that deal. And the weapons around him have become sensational because they added CeeDee Lamb. But the point Emmett is missing is Jerry just pulled an ace right out of his sleeve. When I least expected it, he landed Andy Dalton for no money, for $3 million a year base. And all of a sudden, he doesn't just have a plan B, he's got a plan 1A. He's got a 3-time Pro Bowler who in his first 5 years in Cincinnati with the Bungles averaged winning 10 games a year for 5 years. So all of a sudden, so Emmett's like, you guys there's no time for playing chicken. Just get this done. It's not that simple, now, Emmett. This is hitting the skids. Go ahead.
I can't. First of all, I told you last year this deal wasn't get done. It's gonna be done. It's gonna be done by opening day. No, it's not. I ain't want to get into all these sources and this and that. That's neither here nor there. But I told you the deal wasn't getting done. Now back to this. I cannot believe my ears. People at home, do you hear this? Skip Bayless, the guy that hit Andy Dalton over his head for the last 5 years, now that he's on the Cowboys and he won't Dak to sign a bull jive contract, Andy Dalton is 1A to Dak Prescott 1. Let that sink in for just a second. You see how this thing works? Now, as long as... Whoa. No, listen, this is my turn. This is my turn. I gave you your turn. All this hype, Dak is going to win multiple Super Bowls. Jerry and Steven, he's a franchise quarterback. We want him for a long time. We want you for a long time, but we want you on our terms. And if you don't accept our terms, because this is what owners do, they do a great job of this, releasing the money that said player is turned down, knowing that the general population will never, ever see that kind of money. And they ought to, and I don't know how they've convinced this, but owners have done a great job. Billionaires have convinced the regular public, the fans, that the millionaires are greedy. And fans buy in, yeah, Dak, you being greedy. You should just be grateful you got a job and you're not even worth that. Whoa, wait a minute. What about the guy? What about the billionaire? Is he not greedy? Of course not. But somehow owners have convinced fans that players are greedy. But Skip, this is what I don't understand. Where was all of that when I was saying last year, giving him those bad grades, and you kept giving him A's and B's? Now it's time to get paid. All you do is dole out F's. What's going on? What am I missing? What am I missing now that I wasn't missing then?
I gave him C's for at New England and at Philadelphia. And again, I'm giving him a big contract. What's that?
I said, what about the A's and B's that you were giving him?
He deserved them. He's good. I got him in the top 10. That's pretty great. But I don't have him above Mahomes and Deshaun, who are about to get paid. And again, everybody's saying, Jerry, hurry and pay him before they get paid and set the bar higher. Hurry and pay him money that's going to be even beyond the bar that they set? It's absurd.
It's not be that. No.
He's asking for too much. And you say, Jerry always wants it at his terms. Was it at his terms with DeMarcus Lawrence? Was it his terms with Zeke? No, it was their terms. He overpaid them. Go across the offensive line. Overpaid. Everywhere I look, it's overpaid. Amari Cooper, did he deserve $100 million? No, and they gave it to him in part because they feared he would go to Washington, to their rival Redskins. Shannon,
if you look at
this kind of money that we're talking about is $40+ million. It's going to wreck the salary cap. He's not that great. I can't make a case that Dak Prescott's on a Hall of Fame arc. They have a really talented offense. They just added CeeDee Lamb. I got CeeDee fever. It's going to be special to watch. Dak should feel blessed. He should feel grateful. He's got a bona fide, fair offer on the table right now. Plus, he has at least 12 national TV commercials because he's the quarterback of America's team. It plays in, it factors. He's got it all, and he's going to hold out for absurd money. He's hurting the team, maybe wrecking the team's chances. He's holding out of virtual OTAs. He's going to miss training camp. I think he's prepared to miss real games. I'm losing some respect for my guy, Dak Prescott, because my guy wouldn't do that. My guy has such football character that he would not sacrifice the team's success for his greed and his negotiation. I'm sorry, the offer on the table is more than fair. He should take it. To Emmett's point, that would work.
You see what you did? Dak is being greedy. Dak is being selfish. But nothing about Jerry. Jerry's being greedy. Jerry's being selfish. Difference is between all of those guys had years left. He did the left tackle, Tyron Smith. He did the center. He did the right guard with the years left on their contract. Only DeMarcus Lawrence had no years left on his contract. Amari Cooper had no years left on his contract. But Jalen Smith, those linemen, Lyle Collins, they had years. Dak Prescott plays a more important position than all of those guys, and he's at the end of his contract. So now, you've made me navigate these shark-infested waters, and I came out on the other side. Yes, I'm breathing heavy. And now you want me to give you a discount when you would not give me the money a year ago. No way, no how. And guess what? I'm going to stand firm, and I'm going to let you win with Andy Dalton. I mean, because he's your 1A now. Now, I've never heard anybody say that basically from the first game, 2016, everybody thought he was better than Andy Dalton. Now that he won't accept the Cowboys' offer, now he's 1A. Hold on. Didn't they just get Joe Burrow? How the hell if you're a 1A quarterback and you get the #1 overall pick? How is that possible?
I don't know. I'll take him. And again, I never shamed him on Undisputed because Shannon, over the last 4 years, I don't think I ever mentioned his name on Undisputed until right now.
Yeah, but you didn't mention his name, but now he's 1A to Dak Prescott because Dak won't take that bull jive contract. Right.
Well, he's a viable option. That's all I'm saying. If this quarterback wants to say, okay, I hold out, I'll take Andy Dalton. So would you.
No mercy.
According to ESPN's all-time NBA players list, Steph Curry came in at number 13, just ahead of Kevin Durant at 14. Despite KD winning Finals MVP each time they won a championship together with the Warriors. So, Shannon, should Steph really have been ranked higher than KD?
Yes. If you look at Steph, the difference is, Skip, Steph Curry redefined the game. Now there's no more, you worried about a guy being able to dunk, have a 44-inch vertical leap. You see 7- and 8-year-old kids, Skip, and they're jacking up threes. The year before Steph Curry got into the league, the teams averaged attempting 18 threes a game. Now that's 34. That's a direct correlation of one Stephen Curry. No, that's fact, Skip. And you have to remember one thing, Skip. He won the championship before Kevin Durant ever set foot in Golden State. He was 73-9 before Kevin Durant set foot in Golden State. Kevin Durant had a 3-1 lead on Steph Curry's team, and Steph brought them back. Now, I get the two Finals MVP, Skip, but if you look at those two Finals MVP in 17 and 18, Steph Curry averaged 27 points, 8 rebounds, 9 assists in 17, 27, 6, and 7 in 18. KD was the MVP. We know what KD did. I think one series he was 35 points, and the other series, Skip, I think he was 32. But when you look at it, when you take and they talk higher Pete, you can't get higher than the unanimous MVP. There's only been one of those guys in the history of the NBA, and he happens to be 6'1", 6'2", light-skinned assassin, Stephen Curry. So based on that, unanimous MVP, winning a title before KD got there, going to another, going 73-9, and revolutionizing the game because nobody was shooting threes like this until Steph Curry. The bad 3 shots. Now everybody's shooting logo threes. Bad shot, but that's a bad shot. No, it's not. Steph Curry said that's a good shot. Based on that, I would say Steph Curry deserves the right and has earned the right to be in front of Kevin Durant.
I'm sorry, but I have to disqualify your argument by reminding our viewers that subliminally you're trying to undercut a Kevin Durant who most people think is now the best player on the planet, as Tony Kukoc said the other day. So now you're trying to say, oh, yeah, Steph ranks higher than KD all time. No, he doesn't. I'm sorry. And I have been the biggest Steph fan. You can look it up. I campaigned on ESPN on the former show I was on before the Steph Blake Griffin draft. I said, I'm taking Steph Curry, number 1, that little baby-faced assassin out of Davidson. And everybody at ESPN laughed at me, and I got ridiculed for weeks. And Blake Griffin went number 1 overall, and Stephen Curry fell all the way to 7th, right into the laps out of heaven, Golden State. Way to go. And yet, I must say that when it comes to what I value the most, postseason performance, I'll take Kevin Durant any day or playoff night over Steph Curry because too often Steph Curry in the postseason has come up even smaller than he is, while Kevin has rose and shown out again and again and again in the biggest postseason moments. See back-to-back Finals MVPs, see those 2 legendary Game 3s that he played right in LeBron's grill, in LeBron's house to basically end both of those series. He was the guy they called. He was the guy they called. Draymond, as you always tell me, crying in the parking lot, please come and save us. Will you please come and save us? And last year, it looked like Kevin Durant might even be on the way to stealing a 3rd straight Finals MVP as he brought Golden State back last year until his Achilles went. So I'm sorry. When I look back on Steph's career, the worst 3 games of his career were your best 3 games of your career because it was games 5, 6, and 7 that year that LeBron and company came back, LeBron and Kyrie came back from 3-1 down. Draymond obviously was suspended for game 5 back at Oakland, but Steph Curry had 3 games to say, I am the man, I'm that guy, I will not let this happen. 2 of those 3 were in his house at Oracle in Oakland. And guess what he did in those 3 games combined? He shot 37% from the field. That's not very good. He shot 36% from 3. He's a 45% career three-point shooter. And he was a minus 20 overall in those 3 games. But more important, in the fourth quarter of those 3 games, Steph Curry shot 30% from the field and 25% from 3 and shot 0 free throws in all 3 fourth quarters of those games and was a minus 12. And if I can go all the way to the fourth quarter of game 7 in his house, close game. Overall in that game, Steph shot 6 for 19, but in the fourth quarter, he went 1 for 6 from the field, 1 for 5 from 3, scored 3 points with 0 assists, and had that huge turnover late in the game where he just threw it behind his back into the 5th row. Just a careless, bad game-turning turnover. So, Shannon, 3 straight games where you could say, yeah, I'm the man. I'm better than Kevin Durant or anybody else. And no, he went smaller, smaller, and smaller. I'm sorry, I can't see it. And then let me finish. The last game we saw Steph play in the finals last year, do you remember that closeout game at home? Yeah. It went down to the fourth quarter of that game, a seesaw battle. And in the fourth quarter of that game against Kawhi's Toronto Raptors, Steph in the fourth quarter was 1 for 6, 0 for 4 from 3, and missed the 3 with 8 seconds left that would have won the game. Shrinking. Kevin rises, Steph falls. I'm sorry, Steph is not better than Kevin Durant.
If you don't mind me asking, Skip, what was that postseason success before he joined Steph Curry and the Golden State Warriors? Because you do remember it was the year before that Kevin Durant was up 3-1 on Steph Curry. Go back and check the tape and look at game 6, and you tell me Steph Curry did not shrink. He's 6'11 and a half. By the end of the game, he was 5'11 and a quarter. Tell me he rose and shone. Hold on. Did he not have LeBron James had the best record in the NBA? Did he not have that, Skip Bayless? And guess what happened when they had to play the Heat? So I'm trying to figure out where was the postseason success before he joined Steph Curry, whether they called him or not. He joined Steph Curry, a 73-19. KD ever won 73 games? KD ever been a unanimous MVP? Has Steph Curry, KD has 2 MVPs. I'm trying to figure that out. Just help me there. Go ahead, Skip. You can chime in.
Thank you. In Oklahoma City, I've told you again and again, Kevin Durant was shackled by, handicapped by the point guard who was the primary decision maker. The reason Kevin shockingly left Russell Westbrook was he decided, as a source very close to him told me, he could not win a championship with Russell Westbrook as his primary decision maker. Russell was the one who dribbled the ball up the floor every time and said, your turn or my turn? I think it's my turn. Russell constantly took more shots than Kevin did. I'm sorry. It's just too hard to overcome Russell Westbrook.
Skip, no. You tell me people. The best player in the NBA should overcome that. Don't do that, Skip Bayless. Why do you constantly make excuses for Kevin Durant? KD is great. Historically great, but you make excuse after excuse. He couldn't get out. He couldn't get the playoffs. Oh, he rose and shone. Now you blame Russell Westbrook. At some point in time, Russell Westbrook is not the sole reason Kevin Durant had postseason failure in OKC. He was up. They were up 3-1 on a 73-9 team. It wasn't a problem playing alongside Russ when they were up. It only became a problem when they lost it. Then it became a problem. It wasn't a problem playing beside Russ, getting to the NBA Finals. It was only a problem after he lost. No, Skip, Kevin Durant got to the NBA before Steph Curry. People and teams did not start jacking up threes when KD got to the league. That happened because of Steph Curry. Given that, and given he has one more MVP, and he's a year young, well, he's a year older because he went to college for 3 years, but he has an MVP. He has an MVP. They were 2-1 Steph. He went and won the NBA Finals without KD. It's hard for you to put a guy, Skip, that has more MVPs, has more finals, and he changed the game, Skip. Did he not change the game? Are teams not shooting threes because of Steph? Yes, that's what I'm saying. So if the guy changed the game, how you going to say the guy that is better than him? You make it seem like they got KD at 43.
No, he changed. Steph changed the way they play regular season basketball. He brought the three-point shot into vogue. He made it popular because he shot it better than anybody. That's regular season. You know what I always say? It's all about the playoffs. I want big play Shea in the playoffs. If you'll just give me one big play, I'll take it, Shea Sharpe. If you'll give me one big game, I'll take it, Kevin Durant. And wait a second. Steph Curry has how many finals MVPs? How about goose egg? How about none?
None.
He didn't do it. Iguodala was the MVP of that first finals that they broke through and won, thanks to LeBron shrinking and melting and disappearing.
Oh, my God. This is not about LeBron. Skip.
He did.
If you look at the man, Skip, the man is averaging 27, 7, and 8 over two playoffs, over two finals in which they won. KD was phenomenal. KD deserved. Now, I thought maybe that last finals, maybe Steph was going to get it, Skip, because remember, he went bonkers that last game. I think he had like 38, 39 points. But KD ended up getting a triple-double, and KD won it. Got no problem with that. But because KD has 2 MVPs, and one of them is unanimous, he has a title outside of KD, and he has a 73-9 record on his resume. I believe that is the reason why they put Steph. Now, Skip, that's right now. Who's to say 5 years from now, if KD were to win gets another MVP, that's not reversed. But we know one thing. He will never be in front of GOAT James in the rank in the Pantheon great. That's what we do know. Everything else is conjecture.
Funny you should
Everything else is speculation. It's innuendo.
So Kevin Durant has played LeBron James 9 times in NBA Finals games. Kevin has won 8 of those 9 games. One was a sweep, one a gentleman's sweep. And Kevin averaged 32 points, 9 rebounds, and 6 assists in those 9 games.
How many in OKC?
Case closed.
How many did he win without Steph Curry and Clay and Draymond? How many finals does KD have won without those guys?
Draymond on the phone.
Many?
Please come and save us. Will you please come and save us? We need you. We can't do it without you, Kevin.
Yeah. Steph Curry.
Case closed.
No mercy. An article in the South Florida Sun-Sentinel made the case that the Dolphins should start Tua Tagovailoa week 1. The case was made that Tua proved by being the 5th overall pick in the draft, he should be trusted. Russell Wilson was an example used as one of the best quarterbacks in the league today that started every game his rookie season. Shannon, should Tua start week 1? This is your guy.
Let me ask you a question. Is the best quarterback in the game is who? Patrick Mahomes, boy, did he start week 1? He started one game. He started week 17. Oh, my bad. So that proves that strategy works also. This notion that one size fit all, Russell Wilson did it. Aaron Rodgers, how many times did he start the first 2 years, first 3 years? Okay, so that proves that strategy does work. You can, no matter how high he gets drafted, you can sit a quarterback. Carson Palmer didn't start a game. I believe that looking at it from the outside looking in, I believe that Ryan Fitzpatrick is going to get every opportunity to start the season. And if something were to unforeseen happen, he's not playing well, he gets nicked, Tua will come in and take it the rest of the way. That's what I believe. I also believe, given that the way Fitzpatrick played down the stretch, he's earned the right. They didn't clear the decks. Now, if they'd have done it Joe Burrow, cleared the decks, got no problem. Tua, you're up, go navigate this boat down the harbor. But that's not what they did. They kept Fitzpatrick on this roster for a reason. And I believe that what they're going to do, Skip, is that they're going to give Ryan Fitzpatrick every opportunity to start. He will start the season. And if he gets injured or he's not playing well, Tua will come in and ultimately succeed him and be the starting quarterback for the Miami Dolphins. So I believe that is the course of action. I believe that is the best course of action. I don't care if they took him with the fifth pick. I don't care if I said he's better than Joe Burrow. I'm telling you, in that situation is what they should do. Because guess what? Dan Marino, is he any good, Jenny? He didn't start opening day. No further questions, Your Honor.
I have one, Your Honor. Shannon Sharpe, before Patrick Mahomes was drafted, when he was at Texas Tech, did you once say on Undisputed, that's the best player in this draft? He's going to win MVPs in the National Football League. Did you say that?
No.
Predict that?
No, I only saw it.
You did not.
Skip only saw it one time against Oklahoma.
Okay, I saw him a lot, and I'll be the first to say I've been very good on picking quarterbacks, as I've detailed here recently, but I didn't see this coming. I thought he'd be pretty good. I didn't see this when he was at Texas Tech. I watched him a lot, even that big shootout against Baker Mayfield, and I thought, man, he's awfully raw, but he fell into the perfect situation with maybe the best group of weapons around him in the National Football League and a coach who adores him and is going to do everything in Andy Reid's power to make him successful. But that first year, Andy Reid had Alex Smith at his peak in his prime, healthy Alex Smith. They went 12-4 that year and were vying for the top seed in the AFC. So he didn't need Patrick Mahomes to start. The Dolphins do need Tua to start. And I'm sorry, I'm shocked that you're not putting your money where your mouth was before the draft. Because before the draft, I held your feet to the fire. I asked you repeatedly, Shannon Sharpe, you have zero injury concerns when it comes to your man Tua? You said zero. Okay,
zero.
Independent doctors reportedly said they have MRI'd Tua. He's 1,000% recovered from his hip surgery. He's 100% healthy from head to toe, said, I think, 2 independent doctors. Okay, so you said he's better than Joe Burrow, that he should go number 1 overall, yet Joe Burrow is slated to start game 1 for a much worse football team than Tua's on in Miami because the Bungles had the worst record in the league last year. And yet you're going to throw Joe Burrow into that fire right off the bat, and you're going to stunt Tua's growth in Miami, letting Ryan Fitzpatrick, for whom you have little respect for Ryan Fitzpatrick. You always tell me, oh, he can ride the roller coaster. He'll go up one year and then he'll go way down when you least expect it. So why would the Dolphins, who ended the year with serious momentum, they beat the Eagles and then they won at New England. Brian Flores got it going. They had a tremendous offseason and a very good draft. So why wouldn't he say, let's go with our kid? We stole him with the 5th pick. Shannon Sharpe says he's the best player in the draft, much better than Joe Burrow. So why wouldn't we just play him in game 1? He's 100% healthy. I don't get it. It sounds like you're speaking out of both sides of mouth.
No, I'm not, Skip. I've been very clear on this, Skip. Like I said, I just believe, like, for in a situation like this, Skip, if you have a veteran guy, you can always go back to the veteran. But if a rookie struggles, Skip, it's been proven that normally when rookies struggle, it takes them a long, long time to get out of that. So why not just let Fitz come in? He gets a true understanding, because I think in the long run, Skip, this is what's going to help him, because he'll have a better understanding, a better appreciation for playing the position of quarterback. Joe Burrow, Skip, they removed any possible doubt that he wasn't going to start. Remember, they released Andy Dalton. If Andy Dalton had been on the roster, it would have been very interesting to see how this thing would have played out. But they removed Andy Dalton because they want Joe Burrow to start opening day. In this situation, I believe it's best that Ryan Fitzpatrick start, because you can always, if he doesn't play well, you can go to Tua. It's Skip, you start with Tua, he struggles a little bit, you go to Ryan Fitzpatrick, It's going to be hard for you to go back to Tua at that point in time during the season. And that's why they did it with Eli. Look at Eli and Daniel Jones. They started Eli. Eli didn't play well. They went to Daniel Jones, and Eli didn't get back in there until Daniel Jones got hurt. Daniel Jones healed up. Eli went back to the bench. I believe that's the correct way to play it.
It sounds like you're expressing some serious doubts about Tua's ability, not his ability to stay healthy, just his ability, period. If you think he might struggle, then you don't think he was the best player in the draft.
Skip, look, you can do all that other stuff. Look, there have been situations. Name the first-round pick that came right out the box and did not struggle. I'm not talking about a fourth rounder or a third rounder because there was no pressure. There was no expectations on Russell. There was no expectations on Dak. I'm saying the top the first-round picks that started day one and did not struggle. Who?
Baker Mayfield, Kyler Murray. Both of them played extraordinarily well right out of the box.
Did he? Hold on. So, Baker start opening day? Baker started opening day.
No, but he should have. I told you he should have. When he finally got a shot on that Thursday night, he just lit it up.
See, there you go with should. I ask you a simple question.
Kyler
started
Kyler.
Day one? He didn't struggle.
Kyler tied Detroit on opening Sunday.
Skip, I'm going to tell you how great Detroit is. Miss Ford said she needs to see improvements or the whole staff is going to Detroit. That's how good Detroit is. The owner, who rarely speaks, says if I don't see improvement, they're gone. That Detroit?
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that Detroit where Matt Stafford had the fourth best QBR in football last year. That Detroit. That's what I'm talking about.
No, Skip,
I'm also talking about your guy Tua. I told you about Tua, hurt in college, hurt in the pros. The oldest NFL bromide. Hurt in college, hurt in the pros. I'm going to say it one more time. Rex Ryan reported on ESPN that his NFL sources, I'm sure he knows some people around the league, told him that Tua had 5 surgeries while he was at Alabama. We know he had a career-threatening hip surgery. We had both ankle surgery. We know that. He had both tightrope surgeries on both ankles. I believe he had a knee scope, and I know he broke his index finger on his throwing hand and needed surgery. I know he had a concussion. I know he had a broken nose. I know he had a badly pulled quad. I know he was hurt a whole lot at Alabama. And I also know that I saw him struggle in that SEC championship game against Georgia so badly, he got yanked in the fourth quarter, and Jalen Hurts came in and saved their bacon. He outscored Georgia 14-0 in the SEC championship game and gave Tua a shot then to go play Clemson ultimately in the championship game, and Tua threw 2 more picks in that game. I thought Tua missed way too many throws. He was barely 50% against LSU in Tuscaloosa last year. I told you, I saw him get a little jittery, a little antsy, a little happy-footed because he'd been beat up so much, and he tends to take too many shots. I think he can be pretty good. I just don't think he's going to be better than Joe Burrow, who did not miss a throw in the SEC championship game or against Oklahoma or against Clemson. He was all-time spectacular in those 3 games to finish it off.
If you don't mind me asking, who has the highest QBR, efficiency rating between Tua and Joe Burrow? As a matter of fact, who has the higher QBR in the history of the game? Oh, so that's over a period of time. That's just not 1 year. And Skip, you keep talking about Jalen Hurts coming in, but you will never mention about Tua coming in the national championship game and saving Jalen Hurts, Baker. Why you keep do you forget that game? That did happen, right? Okay.
Yep, it happened. So did those struggle games that I talked about. Okay? If you got Tua, put your due where your mouth is. Put your due up on the table. Start him in game 1 because you believe in him and you said 0 injury concerns. Have some guts and some faith.
Hold on. Did Lamar Jackson start the season? MVP. Pat Mahomes, did he start the season? MVP.
Okay, Lamar came in soon because Flacco got hurt, and Lamar took him to the playoffs as a rookie.
Thank you.
It happened.
Thank you. Making my case for me. They started the vet. Yep. He got hurt. playing bad, Lamar comes in. Same thing. Ryan Fitzpatrick gets hurt or he doesn't play well, Tua comes in. Ta-da!
Okay, over-under on Joe Burrow starting game 1 is 3,746 passing yards. You got over or under. I'll take over that for a case of dew. Want to do it right now?
Over under who has the better career, Tua or Joe Burrow? I got Tua, you got Joe Burrow. 10 cases of dew right now.
10, you got it. Done. Thank you. You finally put your dew where your mouth is.
No mercy.
Well, in just 3 days, it's a day we've all been waiting for as NASCAR returns. Don't miss the historic green flag and the return of live racing as NASCAR is back Sunday, 3:30 Eastern, 12:30 Pacific on Fox. According to Lakers guard Quinn Cook, LeBron's leadership style is very different than what we've seen from Michael Jordan's in The Last Dance. Cook said that LeBron is the, quote, class clown on the team and likes to keep things light. He also said LeBron would still be the first one to get on a teammate after a tough loss and make sure they stay locked in. So, Skip, I start with you here. Who is the better leader, MJ or LeBron?
I must admit, I'm a little embarrassed we're even asking this question. This is not a fair fight. This is yet another area in which Michael Jordan is in another stratosphere from LeBron James as a leader. I've called Michael from 1998 on. I was there right in the middle of The Last Dance as the columnist for the Chicago Tribune. I've called him the greatest leader / motivator ever there was in team sports. He was more of a motivator for that team than even Phil Jackson, the head coach, was. I don't think Michael gets enough credit for just how not so deep that team was. The most infamous quote ever from LeBron James was after that loss in New Orleans in February of 2016, in which he said, then as Cleveland Cavalier, we're top heavy as bleep. He was trying to encourage his owner and GM to go get better players. He dismissed the bottom 9 guys on the roster below him, Kyrie, and Kevin Love. Jordan would have never, ever said anything like that publicly because that's not what leaders say. Leaders do. Michael Jordan took a team with Scottie Pippen, who was nothing but a Robin. He did not have winners' intangibles. He was not an alpha. He taught Scottie how to win, just the way Dwayne Wade taught LeBron how to win his first year in Miami. And Michael Jordan took a Dennis Rodman who had become a nutcase, who was virtually uncoachable, and he kept him in bounds just enough. And he took a Tony Kukoc who came in soft, a Euro player, once called the Michael Jordan of Europe, and he challenged him so harshly every day in practice that he toughened Tony Kukoc into a late shot maker, a clutch shooter. And in the end, he took a roster, a bunch of no-name mediocre players, and he pushed all the right buttons and made their weaknesses strengths. Yes, he could be merciless. He could be ruthless. He could be heartless when it came to the way he challenged the names he called Scotty Burrell. But Scotty Burrell wasn't very good. And Steve Kerr was just another player. And he got into a fight with him. And he obviously won Steve Kerr's respect just as Kerr won Michael's respect. It made Kerr into a player Michael trusted to make big shots in big games. And then we go down the line. Bill Winnington, Luke Longley, Joe Klein, Randy Brown, Judd Buechler. Are you kidding? These are the players down that roster. Michael toughened every one of those no-names into playoff-hardened players with a style in which he didn't want to be loved. He just wanted to be feared. LeBron's problem is he wants to be loved. He wants all of his teammates to love him, to like him. He wants all the opponents to love him and like him and be friends with him. That shows insecurity to me. That's not leadership to me. And I will never, ever forget that game 1 at Oakland in the finals against Golden State, in which LeBron had the hottest hand I've ever seen him have outside the paint. An extraordinary game. And he turned down the last shot after he got the switch onto little Steph Curry. Could have taken the Jordan Memorial last shot on Brian Russell. Nope, he passed it to George Hill. And then we all know J.R. Smith forgot where he was, brain glitched, and LeBron went to the bench and sat 8 feet away from his teammates and basically said, I don't even want to associate with you guys. He was actually blame deflecting because he knew and we knew he should have taken that last shot if he's that guy, if he's the leader of that team.
Okay.
In the end, my last point, and I'm going to hand it off to you. David Blatt, who coached LeBron James and is regarded as the greatest international coach in the world, said the other day, Michael Jordan was focused on the us. LeBron James was focused on the I. Period. End of story. Close case.
The David Blatt. How does David Blatt know Michael Jordan was focused on the us and not the I? Was he ever around Michael Jordan?
No, but he was around LeBron James.
No. Oh, now he knows. So now he can speak to things that he didn't know. Hold on. So Michael Jordan, the greatest leader of all time, why didn't he lead the Wizards to the playoffs?
He was 38 and 39, and he'd been off for 3 years, and he smoked too many cigars, and he was out of shape.
No, time out. Leadership has no age. Leadership has no shelf life. Last I checked, if you're a great leader, you're a great leader. Hold on. There are guys that's in the military that lead, that are generals, that are there for 20, 30, almost 40 years. Leadership doesn't have an age.
They don't fight.
Leadership doesn't.
Oh, stop.
No. It's your, Skip, I didn't interrupt you. I sat here patiently, waiting my turn to speak. So you say Michael Jordan style. Skip, how did that style work for Rodney McCray? Since everybody adapts to Michael Jordan leadership style, how did that work for Rodney McCray? Tell the people at home, Skip. It broke it.
What?
So this notion.
Yeah, okay.
Whoa. See, you see what you're doing? So it doesn't matter. See, what you try to do, Skip, is that you try to conflate. If you're great, that automatically make you a great leader. And the ends justify the means. I can yell, I can kick, I can scream, I can call you whatever I want, as long as we win titles. We need to be careful of that, Skip, because there are people that say, well, that's acceptable. No, it's not. Okay, with that being said, Skip, you understand far well. We've seen the Patriots, and you name all these guys. They're nothing, but they're perfect for that system. And then we see guys leave that system, and they don't play well. Well, Steve Kerr left. He won 2 more titles with the Spurs. Was Tim Duncan swinging on him? Maybe David Robinson. You know, old preacher, old Pastor Dave, maybe he caught it with a 2-piece or something. It's amazing. Skip, all I'm saying is that there are certain people or there are certain teammates that you can do that with and get away with. Skip, okay, if they were accepting of that, okay. LeBron leadership, you always criticize. LeBron, why did you adopt 23? You should have got another number. Okay, now LeBron doesn't want to adopt Michael's style of leadership. Now you criticize him for that. He does something, you criticize. He doesn't do something, you criticize. So what, in other words, he's in an untenable situation. He cannot win with Skip. No team, Skip, since the 80s. You look at the Lakers, they had depth. You look at the Celtics, they had depth. You look at the Pistons. That's why, for the most part, with the exception of the Sixers in '83, Lakers and Celtics won all the titles, with the exception of, I think, Detroit won one and the Sixers won one, because they had depth. Skip, teams didn't have that depth like, even though they were not, great players, but they were deep. They could throw 2-3 bigs at you in a night. And if some opposing team had a big like a Patrick Ewing, they could throw Longley, or they could throw Weddington, or they could throw Purdue, or they could throw Cartwright at him. Skip, they could do that. They could throw those big bodies at Rick Smith. So there was a purpose for having these guys. Like I'm saying, for me and for a lot of people, the style that Michael employed would not have worked, especially if you are an alpha. Skip, I think it's harder to lead now than it was then because you have everybody. Nobody on the Bulls was trying to build a brand other than Mike. Everybody's trying to build a brand now. You got social media. You got everything out there. And to try to lead these guys now, I think it's harder. I think it's harder to coach now than it was back then because you don't have near the distractions back then as you have now. So so maybe we're both right. Maybe for those times, that was a perfect style of leadership. And I think today is a perfect style of leadership because I don't believe you can get away with that now, especially with the skill. I don't believe you can do that right now in today's game. I don't believe you can.
Okay, for the record, you say LeBron can't win with me. I always call him the best passer in basketball to this day.
Skip, that's not a compliment.
I always call him.
That's not a compliment.
What are you talking about?
That's like saying he's the tallest guy.
The best
Skip,
passer in
like
basketball?
Skip, that's like saying he's the tallest guy on the team. He's the hardest hit on the team. What the hell is that? I'm talking about...
What are you talking about? The best passer in basketball? Magic, Stockton, Jason Kidd. He's in the pantheon. Right now, he's still the best passer in the game. That's not a compliment. I have always called him the greatest driver of the basketball ever. Freight train. No one's ever been like LeBron James. And I always say that off the court, he is worlds beyond Michael Jordan, who wanted nothing to do with social injustice commentary. So I give him all of the above. But it's not a fair fight when anything basketball comes up, especially leadership. Shannon, what did we see 2 years ago? We saw LeBron take his talents to Hollywood. I think he wanted to be more Michael B. Jordan than Michael Jordan, but that's beside the point. Yeah. And he comes in and he's got all these hot young kids, all of them talented, got a whole team full of them. And could he lead them? Could he push all the right buttons to at least make the playoffs, the 8th seed with them? No. He did get hurt, I give you that, but he started 55 games that year, and they went 28-27. And by the end of the year, all those guys that he had the handshake rituals with that they practiced carefully before games, he wants to trade the whole team. That's not leadership. That's like, I give up. I can't do it with these guys. I need Anthony Davis. I need help. So, that's not leadership. Michael took that team. He didn't want to trade those Bulls. All those Bulls I just listed, they're all tradable. Nobody even wants them in the end is the problem.
He traded, hold on. No. Jared Krause, hold on. Orlando Woodridge was traded. Brad Sellers was traded. All those guys, Charles Oakley was traded. See, what you do is that because if the general manager does it, it's okay. But LeBron wanting help, wanting someone that can help him win, well, that's LeBron. Obviously, what you try to do, Skip, is that a guy that has 4 MVPs, 3 Finals MVPs, the 3rd leading scorer, and your compliment is he's still the best passer in the NBA. Let that sink in for just a second.
Well, the guy please, let that sink in.
Skip
yes, please.
Okay, here's my compliment for Tom Brady. Tom Brady still throws a good deep ball. If that's my only compliment for Tom Brady, with as accomplished as he is, that's bull jive, and you know it. So you're going to talk about he's still the best passer in the NBA?
Say that again. What did you say about Tom Brady? Still
my
throws
compliment
a good
for
pass?
Tom Brady.
Is that what you said?
He still throws a good pass, a good out route.
Okay, I'll take that. Still the most accurate passer in football. You're about to see that now that he's got some real weapons in Tampa. No, I'll take that.
Okay.
No, I'm serious. But Shannon, when it comes to leadership, LeBron just wants to be liked until it's time to accept blame, and then he doesn't care about anybody else. It's all about him in the end, and he is really good at what he does. But when it comes to galvanizing, unifying, toughening up a basketball team, he doesn't have 1/100th of what burned in Michael Jeffrey Jordan.
See, the difference is that no matter what, Michael Jordan lost, everybody else got blamed. Michael played good. He scored 49. He scored 63. He scored 55. What else do you want him to do? See, Michael was never going to get any blame because he was going to put points on the board. Everybody else was going to get the blame. So now with LeBron, we just blame him. JR has a brain lapse. George Hill misses a free throw. LeBron James should have took that shot. He should have won the ball game. You see the difference?
Should have. Yeah.
One guy gets credit, one guy gets criticized.
Okay. What do I tell you? I have one piece of memorabilia. It's that shot from the far baseline of Jordan holding the pose as the ball swishing through the nets, and Scottie Pippen's over on the wing. I'm open. He's not going to pass it to anybody. In that game, he scored 45 points, that closeout game 6 at Utah. He scored 45. The rest of the team scored 42. He said, I got this. That's how he led.
What?
He led by example, and he led by
kind of like
merciless motivation.
Like LeBron against the Pistons when he scored 25 straight. That's leadership. Mm-hmm. When he took down the bad boy 2.0 Pistons. Was that LeBron? Was that leadership?
Yeah, and then he got swept by the Spurs.
See, there you go. Exactly. That's my point. You can't leave that alone. You can't. He scored 48 and gets 25 straight. Then you got to come. And then he got swept by the Pistons. You see, that's what I'm talking about, Skip.
No mercy.
After the NFL draft, Roto World has Dak Prescott as high as the 3rd-ranked quarterback. Dak is coming off his best year by far of his career, and the Cowboys did just add receiver CeeDee Lamb through the draft. And, you know, Skip and I, big CeeDee Lamb fans. But, Shannon, do you agree with Dak as being ranked 3rd?
No, even if you use fantasy stats, Skip, Dak does not run the football as much as you think. And you've complained about this, that you think he should use his legs a lot more. He averages about 3 carries a game and only had 3 rush touchdowns last year. Now, obviously, Lamar Jackson, although I don't believe he'll have the exceptional year, I could be wrong that he had last year, Skip, but I still believe he'll be somewhere between 850 and maybe 1,000 yards, probably 5 to 7 touchdowns. He's probably going to throw for another 3,000 yards and probably another 25 to 30 touchdowns. So he's a fantasy dream. Patrick Mahomes, Skip, obviously he doesn't run. He doesn't have Lamar Jackson's legs, but he's going to throw, and he's going to throw some more, and he's going to throw some more. So he's going to have the gaudy passing numbers as far as yards and touchdowns. I thought Deshaun Watson, who also has great legs, who, gets a couple of touchdowns rushing the football, and he's going to throw. Now, it's going to be very interesting to see, now that he's lost D-Hop, how many, what's his passing numbers going to look like. I like Russell Wilson, Skip, but Russell doesn't run the ball as far as getting the ball in the end zone nearly as much as people would think he is, as being as mobile as he is. But Skip, in no metric, if you want to say these are fantasy stats, and I understand they've added CeeDee Lamb, the offensive line comes back minus Travis Frederick, but under no circumstances Dak your top 3 quarterback. I mean, I like it. The brothers, we doing good up here, Skip. Lamar should be in front of him. Mahomes should be number 1. But if it's fantasy, I got Lamar 1. Mahomes, then you take Deshaun, then you take Russell. I might throw Dak in there. Kyler, Skip, can be somewhere around 500-600 yards. And if now with DeAndre Hopkins and now with Larry Fitzgerald, although Fitz is not the same guy, Skip, he's going to have really good fantasy numbers. But I think 3, even if you're doing fantasy, even if you're doing a real, okay, he's the 3rd best quarterback, I still believe Dak is too high to be 3rd on this list.
Thank you for your honesty. I wanted to hold your feet to the fire here and make sure that you would say, oh, there's no way he's 3rd on this list. And I also wanted to point out that Roto World, a fantasy website, obviously, its explanation for having Dak so high is an embarrassment of riches have made him too big to fail. So Roto World is saying Dak has so many weapons that he can't not be below 3rd, that he's got to be up to 3rd. And what did we talk about yesterday? In MVP odds, he's as high as 3rd at Caesar's Palace. He's 4th in Fox Bet, but as high as 3rd in MVP odds. Well, neither of us think he's a top 5 quarterback. So why is that? It's offensive line, it's Amari Cooper, it's Michael Gallup, it's Ezekiel Elliott, and I think it's mostly CD fever, as I call it. CeeDee Lamb fell out of heaven from 6th on their draft board all the way into their laps at 17. And I told you the next day, this is going to change life in Dallas. And now it's changing life on all the websites and in all the sports books, because they're all saying, wait a second, Dak Prescott has the kind of weapons that could make him an MVP candidate, 9-1 highest odds or best odds at Caesars, and could make him a fantasy dream. Well, okay, I'll give you that. But if Shannon, Sharpe, and I are trying to just rank him, I told you I got him ranked 10th among quarterbacks. Some people would say that's absurd. Shannon Sharpe has repeatedly told me he's in the middle. He's somewhere in the middle. He's 15, 16, 17. It's hard. There are a lot of really good quarterbacks. As you just pointed out, I'll give you Mahomes first just because he won the Super Bowl. I think Tom Brady is still second best. We're about to see that. Just a little bit over Lamar third, and then you can start to fight with Breeze and Russell Wilson and Aaron Rodgers and Deshaun and Matt Ryan and Ben Roethlisberger, and Phillip Rivers is still a factor, and Kyler Murray's becoming a factor, and there's still Kirk Cousins, who played a little better than I thought he could, and Baker Mayfield is still somewhere in there. Great start, not so great second year. It's a lot of competition, and yet my point to you here is you keep pushing for Dak Prescott to get beyond Patrick Mahomes' money from Jerry Jones. And yet we're both saying, okay, we get the fantasy rank and we get the MVP rank because he's got such great weapons around him, embarrassment of riches, but neither of us think that he's top 5. So how can he deserve top 1 money from Jerry Jones? That's all I'm saying to you is, it's hypocritical for anybody to say, come on, pay him, Jerry. Pay him $40+ million a year for only 4 years. Give him $150 million guaranteed, unless you believe that he's a top 2 or 3 quarterback. And nobody believes that.
So now we base it. So now everybody should get paid based on their worth. When everybody else prior to that got paid on being up and getting top dollar because at that time, Tyron Smith, was he the best left tackle when he got paid? No, Joe Thomas was.
Yeah.
But they paid him more than Joe Thomas.
Yes, you could.
Okay, then. But they paid him more than Joe Thomas. They wouldn't make no case.
Okay.
But they paid him more than Joe Thomas.
I'm fine with that.
Now, all of a sudden, DeMarcus Lawrence, was he the best DN in football? But Jerry made him the highest paid.
No.
Now, all of a sudden,
overpaid.
You need to be you need to be the best play. You need to be the best at that position in order to be the highest paid. That's the way we doing it now, huh? No, we just started doing that with Dak Prescott. No, Skip, don't do that. It's never been based. Pay has never been based on whether or not the guy was the best at a said position. If he was up, he's the last guy to get the contract, he got paid more. That's the way it's been. Now Jerry wants to rewrite history, along with you want to rewrite history. Well, Dak isn't that good. Second of all, Patrick Mahomes has 2 more years left on his contract this year and the team's 5th-year option. The same for Deshaun Watson. Dak Prescott is up. He's played the contract out, Skip.
Okay, so what do you want him to do? Do you want him to say, okay, I'll give you $42 million a year for 4 years?
Dak Prescott, Skip, if you look, do what the Vikings did for First Cousins. Fully guarantee the first 3 years of the contract at about 90 to 100 million, and then you can make up the last 2 years or whatever you want. So if you wanted to be 175 million over 5 years, guarantee the first 3 years at 100 million, and I guarantee you Dak Prescott takes it. Fully guarantee it. I ain't talking about no guarantee.
Shannon,
I said fully guarantee it.
I'm pretty sure the offer on the table is $110 million guaranteed. I'm pretty sure it's $36 million a year for 5.
See, you see what you're doing, Skip? I'm not doing anything. See, if you listen, I've been watching these press conferences with like the CDC. The CDC says if you symptomatic, you can get a test. President Trump is saying everybody can get a test. Now, you see the difference? You saying guaranteed, I said fully guaranteed. See, you try to be slick. They got 110 million guaranteed. That's not what I said. I said fully guaranteed. Then, even though that little minute detail, I don't believe it is.
No.
There's no way. There's no way Dak Prescott
is guaranteed.
No way. No way Dak Prescott is turning down the first 3 years of a contract, 110 million fully guaranteed. Because, Skip, if he's doing that, that's almost that's 37 million. So I know he's not doing that. But it was a nice try on your part.
No,
anybody that needs a test can get a test. No. Anybody that needs a test can get a test. Anybody that wants a test can get a test. You see, need versus want. Guaranteed versus fully guaranteed. Two different things, Skip Bayless. You think you're slick. You think you're slick, but you can't be slick to a can of oil. I know it. I know you're not. Well, I'm slicker than slick.
The slick right now belongs to the new agent for Dak Prescott, Todd France, who's trying to get the biggest deal in history even after Patrick Mahomes signs his new deal. He wants money that is outrageously out of bounds so he can say, look what I did. You want to sign with me? You want to sign with me? Come on. And he somehow has Dak Prescott believing we're going to hold that bottom line. We're going to hold out through training camp, preseason games, maybe even some regular season games, because Jerry Jones has a reputation for caving in and overpaying. But this is the quarterback we're talking about, and this money is twice as much as DeMarcus Lawrence and twice as much as Amari Cooper, who both got way overpaid.
Well, you told me the quarterback is twice as important.
All right.
That's what you told me.
All right. Shannon just seems to be working for that agent of Dak.
No mercy.
Several high-profile NBA stars held a conference call earlier this week to form a united front in an attempt to finish the season. Chris Paul, Durant, LeBron, Kawhi, Giannis, Steph, Westbrook, and Lillard were all on the call. But according to our friend Chris Haynes, James Harden was not involved in the call, which could go back to what Brian Windhorst reported in February, that some NBA stars don't like Harden. So, Shannon, do you have a problem with Harden being left off of this call?
I do, because James Harden is a superstar. He's equal to, if not better than, some of the guys that we mentioned. Now, we know what LeBron represents. We know what Steph Curry and KD, we know what they represent. But James Harden is an MVP. He's an all-NBA player. He's gone to several All-Star games. He's led this league in scoring. He's going to lead the league in scoring again. Skip, I don't know any reason why he wouldn't be on that call. And I understand that Chris Paul is the union president. But this is not about like or dislike. This is about getting the best players and forming united front. And sometimes, people let pettiness, I don't like that guy. But it's hard to deny that James Harden is not a superstar. And James Harden should have been on that call. Whether you like or dislike him, Skip, it's not like y'all in a room together. It's a conference call or it's Zoom. And you mean to tell me you, out of courtesy, you can't, like with James, look, we having this call about, big guys, our names, 10, 12 guys, and we'd like for you to jump on the call with Adam Silver, and I'm sure Michelle Roberts was on the other end, who's the president, the head of the Players Association. I'm sure she was on the other end to jump on this call with us. Skip, this is BS. I mean, I get it. Everybody's not going to like everybody. But in a situation like this is not the time about like or dislike. Because James Harden, I believe, should have had an opinion, and he should have been on that call.
Okay, I hear you, but I'm not sure whether he was left off or if he wanted off, because he feels alienated by most of the other stars. Maybe he feels like he doesn't want to even share a Zoom with Chris Paul, because he fell apart with Chris Paul, obviously, as his teammate in Houston. So, look, James Harden is difficult. And I do believe he's rubbed a lot of the other stars the wrong way. And yet, to your point, obviously you would like his input on whether he's with you or against you, on whether they're going to go back or not go back. Maybe he thought, well, Russ is on the call. He's my guy. He's my teammate, and he'll speak for me and for us, the Rockets. So it's possible that the Rockets were just going to be represented by Russell Westbrook. But in the end, I think it has to do with bad blood. I agree with you on that.
Yeah.
And yet, in the end, the reason I wanted so badly to see this season get finished, and maybe we still have a chance to watch it finish, is the best thing that ever happened to James Harden is Russell Westbrook. The best move Daryl Morey ever made was to acquire Russell Westbrook, to get him out of Oklahoma City, down to Houston. Obviously, CP3 is making miracles in Oklahoma City so far. That's been the story of the year so far on a lower level. But they've been phenomenal. Yeah. They've been way better than I thought they were going to be. So it is the classic trade that benefited both teams. But James Harden needed somebody there that he loves and trusts. And he and Russell basically grew up together out here in Southern California playing AAU ball together. And they have a weird connection in which they'll defer to each other. I've never seen anything like it because I thought Russ would never defer to another human, but he will to James, and James vice versa to Russ. They have this bond of love and trust that neither has ever had with another player. So it seems to me to be working in Houston in ways it never would have worked with Chris Paul, because Chris Paul's like, what? Nah, brah. There's no way. I'm not doing that, and I'm not going to let you do that. And that's James Harden. We know he's going to shoot it like crazy. We know that he's a product of a softer NBA today, in which obviously the refs protect James Harden, and they call a lot of phantom touch fouls where I'm like, that wasn't a foul. And he leads the league by far in free throw attempts, and obviously he can make his free throws. Way to go, James.
And three-point attempts.
The point is, and three-point. You got it. I'm with you. But in the end, he's got the perfect situation because he finally has a co-star he believes in, and he will defer to him. And I think Russell is rubbing off on James because Russell obviously on guts, competitive desire, almost like plays with a rage, it's rubbing off on James. So I think James is like, okay, you got it, Russ. You do the Zoom call. You speak for me. You be my proxy there, because I don't want to associate with those guys anymore. I'm happy here in Houston. I'll just do what I do, and they can do whatever they want to do.
Well, Skip, if the invitation was extended and he chose not to be on the call, that's one thing. But if there was no invitation extended, therein lies where I have the problem, because I believe James Harden is a superstar, and he should have been on the call with those other 10, 12, or however many guys that it was on the call. So if he was extended and chose not to, say, well, Russ is there and I can just get the information from Russ, okay, fine. But if he was not extended an invitation, there's where I have the problem, because I believe James Harden is a superstar and he should be afforded. Skip, it's hard for me to believe that every superstar, like every other superstar in the NBA, this is not unique. This has been going on since the beginning of time. I'm sure every superstar didn't like Magic, or every superstar didn't like Bird or Isaiah or Mike.
No.
But it's hard for me to believe, Skip, that during the time, even though they didn't like Isaiah would have been on the call if there was a strike or there's something that's happening in the 80s. It's hard for me to see a scenario that Isaiah Thomas would have been on that call. I could be wrong, but I think he would have at least been on the call.
No. He would have been, Shannon, because even though a lot of them didn't like Isaiah Thomas, they respected his wisdom on and off the court.
Yeah.
He had brains and savvy and perspective on what was going on. I think everybody wanted to hear what Isaiah had to say about the biggest issues facing the NBA. Definitely would have been on the call. In this case, I don't know if anybody really respects James' view of the world, his opinions about league matters. He's never taken a lot of stands or stances that I'm aware of. So, look, has he been ostracized as an MVP? Yeah, he probably has. and yet, I think he's as guilty as they are, because I think he's like, hell with all of you. I don't need to be part of this anyway. So is it the end of the world? No. But at least Russell stood up for James on the conference call. And in the end, I hope James, I hope it's not a boycott on James's part. I hope he's not one who's saying, I don't want to go back. It's not safe. It seems like there's a groundswell right now of momentum that it seems like all these superstars do want to safely go back as soon as possible. Yeah. It seems like we've got momentum to actually have a completion of the NBA season.
And plus, Skip, look, I want to get paid. I want to get all my money. No. I don't want to get a third of it. I don't want to get a fourth of it. I want all my money. I mean, some of these guys making $40 million a year, $35 million a year. Skip, I need that. And so, I understand that some can withstand this, but Skip, just like average Americans are hurting, they need their paychecks, they want to get back to work. You don't think these basketball players want that money? Of course. I don't care if you made $150 or $200 million, Skip. I want the rest of my 35 that I'm due. And the only way that I'm going to be able to get all that, because I don't know if they're paying them all, Skip, is to go back and play.
Well, I hear you. And let me congratulate our man, Chris Haynes. Great reporting job.
Yeah, good stuff from Chris there.
So
all right, guys.
Don't you be trying to have anything without me, Skip Bayless. I better be on the call. I tell you that. Try to have something without me on the call and see what happens.
No mercy.
Tonight on FS1, relive the 2004 NFC playoff game between the Packers and Eagles, featuring the infamous 4th and 26 conversation with the game on the line. Fox Sports presents Greatest Games tonight, 8 Eastern on FS1 and the Fox Sports app. So Ray Lewis said that Michael Jordan's leadership style and drive that's been shown in The Last Dance was all built on initially being cut from his high school team. He also said MJ had the mentality that there was no other option or plan B, and winning was the only option. Ray also said some can view MJ's leadership as harsh, but you can't deny the results. So Shannon, how does Ray compare to MJ as a leader?
Different, very different. The thing, I had a lot of conversations with Ray when I got to Baltimore in 2000. Ray was, trying to find his way. Obviously, we know what transpired in that Super Bowl in February of that season in Atlanta. And I remember having a conversation with him, and he was telling me all those things that he wanted to accomplish. I said, well, Ray, the simple thing is you can never ask a man more than you're willing to give. I said, now, if you ask a man to be in shape, you need to be in shape. If you ask a man to hit the weight room, they need to see you in the weight room. You say you want a man to do film study, they need to see you doing film study. And I think that, and he says, okay. And then he started having success. But Ray understood that the one thing that a man must have at all times is respect. And with Ray tough, I think, to insert when I can only speak to what it was for the 2 years that I was there. And 1 year, my first year there, he won Defensive Player of the Year. And I think a couple of years later, he won it again. But Ray Ray had a problem if he thought a guy was partying or wasn't paying attention to meetings, and then you get on the field and you blow the assignment and you end up costing us a chunk play, or you end up that play hurting us in a ball game. But Ray was very respectful because he understood guys will probably follow you more if they respect you. And look, what you gonna do? You gonna fight defensive linemen, you gonna fight cornerbacks if they don't want to hear. At the end of the day, Skip, like you said, the guy got to be very self-motivated. And I think the guys were very self-motivated that Mike, the button that he was pushing. But I just think that Mike went overboard where I never saw Ray go overboard in the 2 years that I was there. Okay. And he said something very, very, very interesting. He said, the leadership style, but they got the results. Again, the ends justify the means. He said, but I don't condone disrespecting a man in any way. And Skip, when you really get back to it, that's all you and I have been disagreeing. We really disagree. That's the only thing that you and I have probably butted heads on was the disrespect that I think Michael showed in some of these cases. But Ray, other than that, Ray was tough. Ray was demanding because he held himself to a high standard. And the thing that I told Ray this, I said, Ray, them guys not you. God blessed you with the ability to run and to be sudden and to thump and to be able to process information at a very high rate of speed. Those guys ain't you, Ray. So you can't ask them to be you. He's like, but Shay, I'm like, Ray, you're going to have to be patient and understand everybody is not Ray Lewis. They're not 11 Ray Lewis. There's only one Ray Lewis over there. And you got to get them the best out of them. which is not you, but get the best out of them.
Okay. Allow me to say, Ray Lewis, one of the greatest leaders in the history of sports. Shannon Sharpe.
Absolutely.
One of the greatest leaders in the history of sports. Together, you guys formed the heart and soul of that locker room of that 2000 Ravens team. And obviously the defense was much better than the offense, but you made a play here or there that was crucial to giving you just enough points to win the football game because the other team was not going to score many, if any, points. So it worked. And yet I agree. I loved Ray's comments. They're very insightful about Jordan. And yet I'm with you. Ray was different. Allow me to say, you brought this up. When you first got to Baltimore, Ray Lewis had faced, I don't want to make too much and get too controversial here, but he had faced a murder charge. He was not convicted, but I still believe that it gave him some edge that on the football field, there was fear factor that he could impose on the opponents and to a certain extent on his own defensive teammates. Like, this is a bad man here. And they respected him in part because they feared him, but he did not cross the line the way you say Jordan crossed the line to ridicule or shame his teammates, I think, to motivate, in Jordan's case, by calling them names, words that you say are over the edge. You can't, it's a bridge burner. It's a fight starter for you to be called the B word or the garden tool word, as Michael used those words to motivate Scotty Burrell. And Ray got it because he said sometimes you can look at it as a dictator being really harsh. Okay. And he said, I don't condone, as you just read, disrespecting any man in any way. But they did get, Ray acknowledged, they got results. Okay, they got results. Mm-hmm. So Ray concluded, you have to find a way to push their buttons and hopefully do it in a way where they don't say, I hated him. Well, I don't think they hated Michael Jordan. I don't know exactly what's in a man's heart, but I was there in 1998, and I never got a whiff from any of those players, and some of them I knew very well because I'd been in other cities with them. No one ever said we hate him. They were afraid of him, and they thought he could be one crazy you-know-what occasionally because he was psycho-driven to win at all costs. But they all believed that deep down he did care about them, and he did need them, and he was trying to strengthen their weaknesses to bring them up as close to his level for playoff basketball as he could get them. Mm-hmm. And it did work. But Ray did it a different way. I think like the DBs, I think they were just scared of Ray. And so they locked in and focused and locked down because they didn't want to disappoint Ray. And Rich Eisen brought up the fact that a lot of them, if they made a mistake, they couldn't even look Ray in the eye because they were looking at like fear of God here because he was their defensive God and they did not want to disappoint Ray Lewis. Again, you didn't get that because you were on offense and you were his best friend. Right. So but I do think Ray commanded a fear factor that Jordan, that's the one thing where they were very similar.
Yeah, and the thing that I share with Ray, I say, Ray, you have to be careful that every time somebody makes a mistake that you point it out. I say, because then what you'll start doing is you start getting people watching film to see if you made a mistake. I say, don't point out everything, things that are egregious, things that you like, okay, we went over this, we could do this. I say, you never want guys to start watching film, not for what they run on the offense, but to see if Ray made a mistake. I said, you don't want people trying to critique you. I said, you're the de facto leader. You're the best player on the best defense. You got defensive player of the year. You got the cachet. I say, but that's part of being a leader, Skip. You have to know what buttons. Some guys you make jokes with. I agree. Some guys you put your arm around. And some guys, but you can't motivate one way all the time. And I thought Ray did a great job of striking a great balance. Now, Skip, I'm sure some people got tired of Ray calling it up, giving team meetings and saying all that other. I'm sure some people get tired of that. But at the end of the day, he was Ray. He had been there. He was the original Raven. He and J.O. J.O. had long gone. So you just got to bury it. It's kind of like Jordan.
Yep.
Jordan was the original Bull, Skip. He was the original Bull. He'd been there since 84. So all the other guys from the Orlando Woodridge and the George Gervins and the Brad Sellers, Skip, they were gone. So it had to be his way. But the only thing, Skip, look, I got no problems. Look, I want to win as bad as anybody. But I just think, hey, just keep it respectful, and I'm gonna go do my part. That's the only part that I have a problem with. I got no problem with Jordan because hell, I thought it would have been great. But like you said, he and I probably wouldn't have had a problem because he would have saw how hard I'm working. He's like, I don't need to worry. I don't need to worry about him. He got his.
No. I would agree. And if you had Ray and Michael on the same team, I don't know, you'd have two of the biggest alpha males in the history of sports. I don't know if that would have worked either.
No, you definitely can't call him some of the words he was calling Scotty Burrell. No. Ray would have thumped him.
No.
Wouldn't have gone for it? I can only imagine.
No mercy.
As a part of the Seahawks winning Wednesday, they posted a video yesterday of Tony Romo's infamous botched field goal hold with the caption, "What would have been the game-winning field goal." Oh, even watching it again is not good. Shannon, do you like this troll attempt?
Love it. That's the Cowboys. Been seeing plays like this for the last quarter century, Jenny. Yep, I expect to see more of them this year. I love it, Skip Bayless. Tony Romo, 2-4 in the playoffs, 3 division titles in 10 years. Dak Prescott got half as many wins, one fewer division title in half the time. But y'all don't want to pay him, and they made Tony Romo the highest paid player. Dak, hold out! But I love this. Love it. Good job, Seattle.
Very funny, Seattle. But you know what? I don't need to reach back into the distant past to get even with Seattle. I'll just think back and remind everyone of a playoff game just 2 years ago at Jerry World, in which the Cowboys led only 17-14 with 2:33 left. And watch this. It's 3rd and 14 from the 17. It's an impossible conversion. And my quarterback, the successor to Tony Romo, Dak Prescott, ran it right down your throats, Seattle, you sea bags. He ran it for 16 yards all the way to the 1. Then he closed the deal on the next play. Game over. What a play. What a counter troll by me. I got you good, Seabags. Way to go. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to point that out.
Skip, that would really hurt because I could tell you was like, oh, we got a victory. We going to go on. We going to go a little further. We going to get closer to the NFC Championship game, maybe even get to the Super Bowl. You were like, yes, we got him. We got him. And Tony Romo, whoop, 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 whoop. I love it. Skip, y'all was terrible.
We did it.
You've been terrible for...
Dak Prescott.
No.
Dak Prescott has one playoff win, and it's over the Seabags. Way to go, Seattle. You should be ashamed of that. Dak beat you. He should have beat the Rams. I don't know. We couldn't stop Jared Goff on 3rd and 8. He got us, but it wasn't Dak's fault. Man, Dak could have gotten us to the NFC Championship game. I don't know.
Skip, I'm thinking about Tony Romo. He beat Detroit. He beat Detroit Lions. When the last time Detroit been to the Super Bowl? At least Seattle can say we went to 2 Super Bowls in the last 7-8 years. Detroit?
Romo should have beaten Green Bay at Green Bay because Dez caught it.
No, he did not catch it. He did not catch it. Good job, Seattle.
Shannon, geez, that is it for Undisputed. Thank you for joining us, guys. We'll be back same time Friday morning at 9:30 Eastern. Have a good day, guys.